if you're caring too much, it's probably because one, you're not minding your own business. Two, your life isn't full enough. Or three, you don't know your purpose in life, or you're not focused on your purpose. Hey there, I'm Raquel, and if you clicked on this video, you've admitted to at least one of a few things. Either you think a lot, maybe too much, you have some form of anxiety perhaps, or you just plain old worry. Whether it's worrying about things going wrong right now, things you plan that might go wrong in the future, whether it's like little things like what other people think about you, which is actually a big thing, really, like nowadays. But what people think about you, your hair, what you drive, where you live, all those things can really negatively impact your mental health, if we think about them in the wrong way too much, or if we just care too much about them. Whether you're waking up in the morning and you're looking for your keys and you're getting frustrated, or you're driving down the highway and someone flips you off and it just sets you off. All of these things just signal that there's some anxiety, there's some worries, you know there are some thought processes that probably haven't been worked out. And I've dealt with it. I've dealt with anxiety for sure in college. I didn't deal with that much when I was in middle school, and I did deal with some in high school, but definitely for sure in college, just because of the stressors and keeping, just the stresses of college. And then in corporate America, of course. So I found some things helpful and other things that weren't helpful for me. And so I came up with 8 tips to share today that will help you in dealing with stress and worry and how not to care, or really just to care less about certain things. And so my tip number 1 is to have an anchor. And an anchor used in sailing, the sailor would drop the anchor from the boat to hold the boat steady in the sea. And so when you think about an anchor, it's like having an anchor for your soul, if you've ever heard of that concept. It's having a set core of values, of beliefs, a foundation, of teachings that you adhere to. For me, it's a belief. I have a belief, I have a hope, I have a faith that grounds me in life, that teaches me about the world, through, their perspective. And it helps me dealing with the ups and downs in life. It helps me, when I'm down, it uplifts me. When I'm up, it'll humble me, So, having a core anchor in life, a set of beliefs, principles, for some people that's philosophy, it's traditions. For me, it's a belief. But you have to have an anchor for your soul to help you with the ebbs and flows of life. And so that's my first tip. And it's more than a tip, it's more like a must have, really. So have an anchor for your soul. My tip number 2 would be to trust the process in life. If tip number 1 is to have a belief, tip number 2 would be to walk out your belief. To trust the process in life, to know that things will work out okay. So, none of us really had any say that we would be here on this earth right now. So there's a sovereignty, outside of our authority to make decisions, in our life. We may make decisions in our lives and things still may not work out the way we want them to. So trusting the process is just knowing that sometimes things won't go as planned. And also knowing that things can still, even if they haven't gone right, things can still work out for you in the best way. So knowing that at the end of your life, things can, average out, okay for your life. And so it's trusting the process. It's hard for us, but it's necessary to have less anxiety, because of all the things we can't control. So trust the process in life. Just trust the process. My tip number 3 is to inform you that everybody doesn't need to know everything. Yeah. Everybody doesn't need to know everything about you. Um, that does include your family, that includes your friends, and it includes acquaintances and the random people on the internet. I have a journal, so it helps me writing things out. But I know people today also have like audio journals, audio diaries that they can post online and, share their world with the world, with things that they're going through in life. And although that may welcome a lot of great feedback, it can also welcome a lot of harsh feedback. And there's this phrase that I've heard when I was a kid, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And it's just like the biggest lie ever. But everyone doesn't need to be privy to everything that's going on in your life, There are things that people go through in their lives, if you ask them for advice, they'll give you advice through that perspective, Um I don't know if I should say this, but like, certain people going through like relationship woes, or divorce, you know, you might want to think twice about asking them how to deal with your husband always leaving his socks on the floor. I don't know, stuff like that. It's good to have discernment about who you can really trust in your life. I wish I could say for everyone that was their mom, their dad, their siblings, their bestie, best friend. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. I can't say who that is for you in your life. I know it's definitely not random people on the internet, but everyone, can do, what they want to do. But in order to not have, anxiety, in order to, care less about things that are going on, don't fuel the fire by giving out information to everyone because, it can cause more harm than good. And so that's my third tip. It's to, understand and have discernment about who you can trust in life and just know that everyone doesn't need to know everything. My fourth tip is to get rest. And this may seem like, okay, yeah, move on, but it's so important to get rest, for your body to get rest. A lot of the times we deal with anxiety and anxious thoughts because we haven't gotten enough rest. Like our minds haven't gotten enough rest. Our body has not gotten enough rest. You know, um, it's a law in the earth that you must rest. I don't think there's a human being alive that hasn't gotten a night of sleep. Let me know if you know otherwise. That'd be interesting. But people deal with a lot of pain, whether it be mental or physical, because of the lack of rest that they get. So when you can, definitely get rest, even if it's one day out of the week. Um, I do that. I do have one day out of the week where I don't work. So it's imperative. It's so important for you to get rest because that'll help your body and your mind to focus on things that you need to focus on and care less about the things you just don't need to be focusing on. Just rest can do that. It does it for me. Um, and make sure you get your 6 to 8 hours. I know everyone's not an 8 hour sleeper. I definitely am. But even with that, just make sure you have, time during the week to reset and to organize. Everything can't be work, work, work. I know in the US, if you're in the US watching, you know how it can be, especially if you're in the Northeast. But, you just have to rest because if you don't make the time to rest, your body will force you to rest. And you don't want that to happen. Tip number 5 is to have a hobby. And again, this is going in line with what I said about having a full life, having a purposeful life, minding your own business. A lot of these tips may not seem like they have a lot to do with, anxiety and caring less and things, but they do. Having a hobby is like that small piece of joy in your life that, you can give to yourself whenever. Well, hopefully you'll make time to do it, but you plan to do it. But it's something that you can give to yourself to help you enjoy life, you know. There've been so many times when I, just went to the movie, after like a stressful work day and saw a comedy and it just lifted me, so much, simple things. A hobby for me is like roller skating or like hiking, going anywhere outside, like a beach. I love the beach, just sitting there and listening, to the water, or even going to the park and listening to the birds and the wind. I don't know, I just like sitting around listening to things, I guess. Could also be something that could turn into a business, whether it's knitting, you like to make hats, anything, that you actually get joy out of doing. Make time for it, whether it's once a week, could be um, volunteering at a food pantry. Make time to do it, either once a month, once a week, twice a week. Um, just make sure you put it into your schedule. I would say at least once a month, to help you, depending on what it is. I think depending on what your hobby, you can have more than one. You can incorporate it into your schedule more frequently. Things that you want to do, like run a marathon, if that's a hobby for you, you can do that when you can, like twice a year, but just make sure you regularly incorporate hobbies into your life. That'll help you to worry less because you're getting the endorphins that help you, honestly, to reset. It helps you, for me especially, it does help for me to um, stop thinking the worst, stop catastrophizing about, what could go wrong. It's helped me in the past a lot. So have a hobby. Tip number 6 is to have a goal. And this goes in line with minding your own business. I know a lot of people say mind the business that pays you, but just mind your business, just mind your business. Mind your business by focusing on your goals. That's what I mean. Sometimes we get into the habit of worrying because we're comparing our lives to someone else, where we should be, what we should have, what should be happening right now in life. A lot of that can be attributed to not focusing on our own goals in life and what we want to do and taking the steps to accomplish them. And so my tip number 6 is to have goals and to actively, work on achieving them. And I'll leave an acronym below for SMART goals if you've never heard of that term before, but make sure your goals are, SMART goals are specific, they're measurable, they're attainable. The acronym below will give you more guidance. But having these goals and working towards them will help you to mind your own business and to stop caring about all the nuances in life. When I'm working on something, I'm focused on it. I'm focused on, you know, getting it done and to make sure it's done the right way. Whether that's starting a business, whether it's starting a garden, whether it's, I don't know, anything, starting a mentor program or a nonprofit, all these things, or even publishing a book, writing a book, starting there. All of these things can help you um, with not caring about certain things you shouldn't be caring about and focusing on things that you should be caring about because we all have a purpose in life and our purpose can change throughout the course of our lives. It's up to us to do that introspection, to figure out what place we're in. but make sure that you have your goals, whatever they may be, and to actively work on them. They could be personal and they could be professional, whether you're working on your degree or working on a certificate that you need professionally. Personally, whether you want to organize your closet or, you can think of anything personal in your life that you may want to do. Make time to accomplish them, make time to focus on them. My tip number 7 underlines everything that I have been saying, and it's to have discipline. This is probably one of the hardest ones because it's so hard to stay consistent nowadays. And I would say consistency and discipline would be my 7th tip. Another reason why we care too much about things is because we're not disciplined in our lives on accomplishing our goals and adding in our hobbies and getting the rest that we need as well. It all ties in together, but having discipline is fundamental with being a success, quote unquote, in life. That doesn't have to be monetary success. That can be anything that you're doing. Having discipline and consistency will help you not to give up on things that you're trying to do, whether that's having a morning routine, whether having a night routine, whether you are disciplined about how much candy you'll eat during the week or how many times you'll exercise during the week. Your whole life is guided by your principles, and your principles should have a set amount of discipline in them. Anything that's has been done in life has been done with some form or a certain amount of discipline. So most things in life require a bit of discipline. And so, I would say it's pretty important if you're not disciplined to work on getting disciplined in life. I would recommend the book Atomic Habits. Have discipline, and you will definitely feel better when you actually are working and doing the things you want to do because you had the discipline, whether it's to save money or to, I don't know, invest. When you look back on it, you'll really feel good that you stuck to it and that you stayed consistent and disciplined. My 8th tip is to make sure that you're always, working on becoming a better person. And this is more spiritual than anything. We all have, greatness inside of us, right? But we also all have our weaknesses. And a lot of us don't want to admit those weaknesses. And so, maybe you have an anger, issue. Maybe you have a jealousy issue. Maybe it's some sort of insecurity. I think we all have insecurities, right? Especially about, what we look like because that's the nature of today. But we all have things that we can work on in our soul. Things like, patience and kindness. Those are things that we can work on to become a better version of ourselves. Someone that's more giving. That's not always self-seeking, Those are the things that help us to stay grounded in life. One of my philosophies or just beliefs is that, I'm not, what I look like. I have a soul, I have a spirit. I can have, oops, sorry. I can have a whole conversation with myself without saying a word. I can close my eyes. I can think about the future. I can, just say your name, close your eyes and just say your name to yourself. That version of you, that soul, that spirit is it feeling, it's emoting. I don't know. It's experiencing life, and that part of you is the part that needs to develop, the character, the strength, the fortitude, the grit, to get through life without letting life get to you, I should say. And so that's what we're talking about. Developing ways to care less and worry less so that we can enjoy life more. And so those are my 8 tips. And a bonus tip would be to, not compare. Don't compare your life to anyone because you always find someone doing better than you. You always find someone doing worse than you. So it's purposeless. The billionaires are competing with each other. People working everyday, I don't know, jobs are competing with each other. We're all comparing and we're all unsatisfied because we're comparing. And there's a quote that has helped me a lot, which is, when you compare, you despair. Sometimes you can look at somebody else's life and wonder, like, well, why not me? Or what's wrong with me? Or, all the things. So when you're dealing with that, it's just good to realize that you have your own lane, you have your own business, you have, things, you have a purpose. Focusing on someone else's life is not going to do you any good because their life may not be as great. And you wouldn't want that for them, right? It's just like you wishing the worst on someone because they're in a place where you want to be. That's the whole character development I'm talking about. Don't compare because you'll despair. So those are my tips. I hope you enjoyed them or got something out of them. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content from me. Um, and let me know what ways helped you in life to deal with the ups and downs. Let me know in the comments below your tips for getting through life, for staying calm and caring less. And I'll see you soon. Bye.